This week in Beyond the Headlines, a closer look at youths and crime.
There some young men that even I mentored that didn't know where the next meal was coming from. They go home, there's no food or whatever the case may be, and however they get it, they get it. But it has to start at home. Community, church, home, and the government. It has to all be working in one. But we are hypocritical. That's the key. And we don't think the young people see it, but they see it.
2012 began on a tragic note as two young men were shot just outside the Crystals nightclub, one fatally. The deceased, 19-year-old Javon Heskey, was found outside the club with a mask on his face, and it was later reported that he was shot and killed after he allegedly robbed a patron at the club of a chain and attempted to run off. The January 18th shooting brought to the forefront once again an issue of major concern within the territory, that of crime, particularly robbery and theft, which, according to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, has been on the rise in recent times. Local news headlines for the past months bear resemblance to those in much larger regions, whose populations far outnumber the BVI's, and public bulletins have gone out warning residents and motorists to secure their belongings and to be alert, as reports of daytime robberies and thefts had increased in certain areas, particularly Main Street in Road Town. During the relaunch of Crime Stoppers BVI in February of this year, Chairman of the BVI Chamber of Commerce and Hotel Association, Jamal Smith, speaking to the issue of crime, said that the majority of crimes being committed were being carried out by young males.
The bulk of the problem that we are facing is coming out of an insurgency within the youth, a negative insurgency, not a positive one. And we need to find ways to address that, and I do hope that Crime Stoppers can get involved with that and be able to reach out to them and get them to communicate to the wider community about the need to inform the police officers what is happening in their community.
That concern was reiterated by Minister for Education and Culture, Honorable Myron Walwyn, who noted that young men who should be excelling at work or school are instead occupying the prison cells.
The population of our prison is overflowing with young men who should, at this stage in their lives, be in tertiary classrooms or receiving on-the-job training in their desired fields. Instead, they spend idle days and nights as we attempt to reform their adverse behavior. Now is the time to intervene in the lives of our young males, in particular, to prevent antisocial and destructive behavior that has characterized the youth of this generation all over the world.
But what is the motive behind these crimes? What drives individuals to resort to robbing and stealing from others? Are the crimes committed out of hunger and a need to survive, or is it something more? Just this year, the Ministry for Education embarked upon a stellar initiative to employ some 500 unemployed young people, close to half of whom have been employed to date. Could unemployment be a catalyst for crime? In an attempt to answer these questions, JTV News spoke with Melvin Mitch Turnbull, Director for Project Lionheart, a mentorship program that seeks to develop young men and women and provide them with positive tools to navigate through life. Turnbull gave his own interpretation of why young people commit crimes, specifically robbery and theft, and he said that a variety of factors lead to such activities, one of which is genuine hunger and the need to eat to survive.
It's a lot of different reasons. I mean, because of my involvement with the courts, with the youth court system, certain things I cannot say. I'm prohibited to say. What I can say in general, though, from being on the street and being on the block and just sitting with the boys on the block and understanding, some of them really are hungry. Like, I'm not even going to play that down. Like, they're really hungry. Like, they need something to eat. You go, I mean, it was a few years ago I learned that there are families here in the BVI that go to the trash cans to find food. Like, I learned that and never knew it was that real. I mean, there some young men that even I mentored that didn't know where the next meal was coming from. They go home, there's no food or whatever the case may be, and however they get it, they get it. And then there's those that you a wannabe. you raised well, you grew up well, but again, the lack of direction, you just want to be, you want to fit in. And it's easy to fit in because a wannabe can actually be a soldier. There's soldiers and there's wannabe soldiers that become soldiers. But is it necessary? No.
Turnbull, who was involved in and took a bold approach to the annual youth rally last year, helped to bring in Alfred Lomas, a former Mexican gang leader, Dr. Joseph Jennings, a former gangster out of Atlanta, and Terry Smith, who was a member of a gang in Boston and served time in prison locally, to speak with the hundreds of young people who attended the event. Turnbull said he used this approach because it is important to have people speak to the youths who not only understand where they are, but have been there.
You have to have a conversation with these young people, especially these young males. I mean, I sit on the block with some of my young boys, just smoking weed and balling up. I mean, the quote unquote dignified part of me will want them to stop smoking, but at the end of the day, I can go to where you at, because when I bring you to where I'm at, you know you can't be smoking, you can't be drinking, you can't come on a job, like whatever the case may be. I've been there, I've done that. I understand what it is, so it's not about me dunging where you are. I'm going to come to where you are, but at the same time, I'm going to stay and show you that I was there. And I could talk to you on whatever level you need to do, but I need you to get on a higher level, because that's what it's all about. If we're going to reach our young men, if we're going to reach this society, we actually have to go where they are. One of the most funniest things for me was going down to the ghetto and coming out of the ghetto. Somebody saw me and they were like, "Where you just coming from?" Like, it's a place. I mean, I ain't scared to go no place in Tatola. I lived in Miami. Tatola ain't nothing for me. So it's just about plugging in, especially if it's one that I know that I see that needs the help. I'll go to the ends of the earth to try to help them.
Turnbull said that while there are several young males filling the prison cells, there are also females who are involved in illegal activities, some who use their bodies in exchange for what he says they may be in need of.
You have a mixture of everything that's going on right now. It is true, you have more males in filling the prison cells and things of that nature, but you have a lot of young ladies on the street too. A lot of them doing things with their bodies to get meals, to get books, to get whatever the case may be. But for the young males, I think it's nothing, it has a lot to do with direction. Because here in the BVI, and we don't like to say it, but it is actually the truth. We take on the image of other countries. We take on be rich, have a good big house, have a good car, and I'm talking locally. I'm not just talking United States and abroad. I'm talking that's how we see it. So where I have to go and do 5 years of high school and 5 years of primary school to go probably to college to get a decent job, and I can hang out on the block and see somebody roll up with a Cadillac with whatever it is, and they pull out a knot. I mean, just guap, just real guap, lot of money. And you say, well, listen, all you need to do is do this and handle that. It's easier. I mean, it's more attractive. It's more attractive. It's very easy to get in. It's hard to get out. So it's more about where they want to go and the choices that they make in life. Why crimes happen? I mean, we live in sin. I mean, if you want to be truthful about it, we live in a world of sin. So it will happen, and I think it's much easier for the young men to get involved because it happens, and you get girls, you get money, and you get girls, and you get money, and you get girls, and you could have your car, you could have a boat, you could have all kind of stuff. But then at the end of the day, when the rubber hits the road, what happens if you get shot or killed? What happens if you end up in jail? There's no more, and I think us as a society and a legal system is taking it one step further. That is not just you get 3 months in jail for robbery or whatever the case may be. They're taking it up to another step. So we just need to curb the mentality and work with them.
When asked about the role that the home, church, school, and government play in curbing the issue of crime, Turnbull said that it all begins with the home, and this is where he says society has fallen short.
The Bible said that you got to train up a child in the way he or she should go, that when they're old, they will not depart from it. So that ties into the church. But you have to get that direction from home. You got to understand what are the rules. Sometimes some of the homes don't have no rules. They don't have no regulations. They don't have nothing, no structure. There's a lack of structure. And then we, as a people, we say, well, it's for the government to do it, or it's for the church to do it. Now, I'm going to get on the church because you know me. I'm in the church, but I tell you all the time, church people make me sick because we don't take the time to go where we need to go. Sometimes we need to get out of the four walls and go and reach these people. Do like Jesus did. That's what if we call ourselves Christians, that's what you're supposed to do. Follow Christ. Christ was on the street with the whores and the thieves and all of them. He was on the street. Why we can't do that? And then the government has a major role to play, but it's not everything. The government can't take up your bill. The government can't take up your responsibility because the government, for lack of a better word, ain't the one sleeping with you and giving you these kids. But the key that we all have to, it all plays hand in hand. Each facet has to do their part to steer in our young people and our young men in the right direction. But it has to start at home. Community, church, home, and the government. It has to all be working in one. But we are hypocritical. That's the key. And we don't think the young people see it, but they see it, man. I mean, you go on some of the Facebook and Twitter and you read some of the comments and you read some of the things that they know like going on, even with our church leaders, even with our politicians, even in your house. You know, they know what's going on. So it's no longer a place that, oh, you're a child and you can't speak. No, they know and they see what's going on. So when you come to them, you got to come to them correct. You can't come to them plain. I remember when we started Lionheart the first time. It took me 2.5 weeks before anybody said anything to me because they were feeling me out. Boss, I want to know if you're real. I want to know if you're just here for publicity, or I want to know if you're just here just to play games. If you're real, then you're real. And it took me 2.5 weeks before they broke down and started talking to me because they want to know if I gonna last. So that's what it's about. It's not just about, oh, we're trying to save everybody. That's what we do in church. Oh, I'm trying to get you saved, sanctified, baptized, and filled with the Holy Ghost. No, it don't work like that. You got to reach them where they are and bring them to Christ and let He elevate them. The government could do its part. Parents have to do their part. But parents have the major role to play in the lives of our young people. So we just got to plug in and do it together. But it starts at home and it ends at home.
The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force is taking several steps in the hopes of reducing the number of young men flooding Her Majesty's Prison. Earlier this year, in an interview with JTV News, Deputy Police Commissioner David Morris stated that the prison is in fact overcrowded and it is necessary that this issue be addressed.
A lot of the young men that we work with, when you see them, it's just they're lacking something. They're lacking somebody in their life. It might be a male, it might be a female. They're just looking for direction. And sometimes the easiest direction to get, I could tell you that, is you hang out on the block with your boys and everything sounds golden. If you don't have that direction or you don't have that male figure or that father figure in your life. But at the end of the day, what we tell them and what we push to them is, man, listen, no matter what your situation is, we're not ignorant to it, we're not discounting it. But at the end of the day, put all that weight on your back and you step through. And then you could go to the place where you can help somebody and reach somebody else to do something better with their life.
This is Walter Barrett, Beyond the Headlines.